Hello, you're through the books, boys. You've got Dean on the line. Who's calling?
Hi, Dean. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. How's it
Oh,
going?
hi. Okay.
And do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Agnes K, and I also known as Kemka Ezinwo in the book Captured Within.
Ah, okay, awesome. So we were just talking about Captured Within. So I actually read it this week. Now, this is not your first book. You've written a lot of books, is that right?
Yes, but this is my first published book.
First
I
book.
republished it. That's why it's in a different name now. Yes.
Right. Okay. So you've written other things, and this is the first one published. I mean, is there a reason that this one was chosen? Do you think is it your favorite? Is it your best one, or what's your own take on that?
I think it's my leap of faith because that's the first thing I put out there. It's not the
Mhm.
first thing I've written, it's the first
Yeah.
thing I put out there. So I felt that would be my kind of coming out. I'm now coming into the comfort of being a writer. So I
Hmm.
figured, why not start with where you began?
That makes sense. And
So
how long
that's
have you
it.
actually been writing?
I started writing in 2010, 11,
Wow, so you've got a full decade or more of actually writing.
almost. Yeah.
Nice. So the interesting thing I think about Captured Within, so the initial premise of like Matthew Udon being missing for what, 20, 21 years before they kind of realize who it is. It's such an
Yes.
interesting premise because okay, so a lot of the story does take place near the end, but we get these little bits as we go along, missing for a year, 4 years, 8 years. We see little bits throughout the lives of his family and of all these people before we eventually discover. And it's really interesting just to take those little snippets in time before we kind of get to the end and we get to the kind of the main story. What was the idea to do that? Like, how did you kind of come up with that idea to do these little installments?
Um, I just wanted to write initially when I first got the idea, I felt I wanted to write about a woman's prayer for her child because sometimes it's really hard. I think there was something I saw on TV, and someone was talking about poverty levels and the fact that schools had to be given food for children, and there was this idea of taking that away. And people were complaining about it. So I said, okay, why don't I write about a woman's prayer and feature it about where I'm from because I'm Nigerian.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll do something about a woman's prayer and how it doesn't always come as you pray or wished for. That's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And but the story just took a different turn. And it
Okay.
became about this boy missing. And I think if he wasn't missing, there was no way her prayer would be answered, I think, because
Yeah.
he will be stuck to her and she'll be stuck to him. So something had to take him away from her, and that's where the accident happens. And the part of the priest taking care of him just spun its way in there. I don't know how. So that's how the story went on with. So and I wanted to also bring to the fact that sometimes there are people in our lives that are so well connected to us and we can't explain why or how we connect. There's this, I've forgotten the word I wanted to use, but there's that connection. And then sometimes you find out, oh, we're related somehow. How come? And then you see this mix, and then you see all these ancestry.com and stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, we're so connected. So I wanted to put that
Yeah.
into the story without actually saying it. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why.
And we have some parts, I suppose, set in Nigeria and some parts set in the UK as well. And it's always funny when it's
Yes.
set in the UK because they're always watching, The Chase or Coronation Street or something. And it's okay, this bit's in the UK because they're watching really, really stereotypical British television shows. um, so you,
Um,
I was going to say,
sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to say I'm more of an indoor person, and I was kind of stuck with it, and I kind of found it boring because it's that's ordinary TV. If you don't have the satellite, ordinary TVs, if you don't have the sky thingy,
Yeah.
it's the same thing over and over. And then during the weekends, they now throw in from Monday to Friday's work for you to watch all over again. And because I was stuck indoors a lot, I think that's why that was the only thing I could really bring to the table.
No, I liked it. I thought it was funny. Because it's like, that's what it's like. And that's what I remember growing up before we had all the Sky TV and all the satellite and everything. It was the same 3 or 4 channels, and then everyone was watching the same couple of TV shows every week. So that's what it was like, You mentioned as well, obviously, about the theme of it being a woman's prayer. And obviously we have William who wants to go into the priesthood, and we have Father Bernard. Religion plays quite an important role. I mean, there's bits where people are just giving Bibles as gifts, a lot of things. Do you want to tell us about the importance of religion for the characters?
Well, that's all. For most people, well, me growing up, it was in your face a lot. So you're stuck with it. Whether you believe, you don't believe, you're stuck with it. And in some ways, you have to conform, or you be sort of treated like an outcast. So you have to belong to something. If you're in the northern part of Nigeria, you have to be Muslim. If you're not Muslim, you have to conform either in dressing or respecting their holy days and that kind of thing. So if you're in the South, you have to be Christian. If you're not Christian, you're pagan. If you're pagan, you're fetish. And if you're fetish, it's like a no, it's a taboo. People do it in secret, but it's a taboo. So so that's where it's always thrown in your face. There's always some activity to be involved in. So that's what he had, and that's what she had. And William's decision to go into the priesthood was to shield his heart, really. If you follow the story, is to shield his heart because he got heartbroken.
Yeah.
And figured if he was a priest, there's no point in worrying about any other person doing the same thing to him.
Sure. No, there was I can't remember who it is, but there's a funny bit where they just mentioned that like all the relatives and everyone, they just keep giving him a Bible like over and over again. It's like, I'm thinking, I don't know what he's going to do. He's got 10 Bibles now,
Yes, because growing up, if you travel to a different town, you have to stay in a hotel. And you stay in the hotel, you always get a Gideon Bible.
Yes.
Every room had a Gideon Bible.
That's right.
So, by the time if you leave, if peradventure you leave with one, the following day it will be replaced.
Yeah.
So you just keep taking.
And although, my favorite part is obviously the story about Matthew, about William, and there's the going into the priesthood, but there's also the kind of love story with Annette, and she's got her bits with Lavinius and all this. But apart from those kind of what I'm going to kind of call the main characters of the main story, there's a lot of other characters. It's a big family, and there's a lot of stuff going on. How did you keep track of all the all the side characters and all the whole family? Because there's a lot of characters,
I think that's part of the reason why I had to pull it out and rewrite it again, because I wanted to write the people involved in his life were kind of like everybody on a street, and then somebody goes missing and somehow is involved with all these people, and they're affected, even though loosely for some. Livinus was barely affected by it. He was kind of relieved.
Yeah.
And but Ambrose was quite affected by it because they were really close. So I wanted to bring that in. And Ambrose had sisters and friends and his mother and Matthew's mother and all of that. So it's a big community.
They have a good community, yeah.
Yes, so how his disappearance affects them positively and negatively, I wanted to portray that. So it's kind of like a village thing. And to build them, I had to use A3 sheets to just find my way around the...
Just the links between all the characters.
It was difficult initially because I kept going back to it, and and it was frustrating because I like to do something and be over and done with it. But editing is a whole different ball game because you keep coming back, until you have to not hate the book in the end, but kind of tolerate the process of it. So yeah.
Yeah,
That helped.
there's a lot more work than just that original idea and writing it down. There's a lot of reworking and
Yes.
editing. Yeah. So what's next? Are you working on your next release, or what's happening now?
Okay. I was working in November last year. I was working on my ninth book, and I got another idea. Started working on the ninth and the 10th book at the same time. Then somewhere along this year, during just before Valentine's fiasco, I like to call it, I got another idea. So I'm kind of stuck with that one. I can't make up my mind on what's next yet, because there are three stories struggling to take precedence in my head.
Okay. Are we allowed to get a sneak peek at what there are?
Okay. One of them is, I haven't decided on the title, but I decided to stick with Rhyming Shadows, and that's the third installment for the Girl from Home series. Okay. That's the final book on it. So that's about Zainab's story. I can't go into much details about it.
Okay.
Then there's the second installment of Blossom. Blossom in Winter is the first. The one after it will be Blossom in Spring.
Right.
And it's about Ilona's story. Ilona is Asmau's best friend, sort of. They meet when Asmau gets stuck with a marriage of convenience, and their character builds from there, and they blossom into a beautiful friendship. But the difference between them is that Ilona is in love with Asmau, and Asmau hasn't registered that concept. She's Muslim.
Right.
So this Blossom in Spring is going to be Ilona's story.
Okay.
And her growth, yes.
Cool.
Then the third one is about a girl born in the earliest of times when women had no rights and all of and patriarchy and all of that. So that's a complicated one, even for me.
So you've got a few different ideas going then.
I know it's, and they're pulling me in very directions, so I don't know.
Well, hopefully you decide which one you want to do.
I hope so.
So give us a quick idea then before I let you go. I always find it interesting to know what authors are actually reading themselves. So what have you been reading lately?
I don't have a strict genre right now that I read. I read mostly because I now do a book chat where I meet other authors. So I read what they want me to read. So I'm kind of stuck with what they put out there for me. Once in a while, I read outside that. I was reading, I can't place his name. Anyways, his name, The Fisherman, is what I was reading. So, but I had to abandon it because it was conflicting with an idea I was working with. Right now I'm reading Verity by Colin something.
Okay, awesome. And
Hoover, yes, Colin Hoover.
Colin Hoover. The question that I always finish with, I always ask everyone, if there's one book that you wish you had written, what would it be?
One book I wish I had written.
Yeah.
By another author.
An existing book that you wish, I wish that was my book,
I think The Name of the Wind.
Okay.
I can't remember his name. Yeah. The Name of the Wind.
Okay, I don't know it myself. I'll just go quick Google name of.
It's fantasy.
Fantasy, okay. Yes, I've got it here. The Name of the Wind, Patrick Rothfuss.
Rothfuss, yes.
Yeah. Heroic fantasy novel. Okay. I don't know it myself. I'm gonna check it out then if that's your recommendation.
I like certain aspects of the first of the set I don't know if he's done the third one yet, but I like the first one very much.
Okay. Well, very last question, and why don't you tell the listeners where they can go to get your book, to get Captured Within?
You can get Captured Within on any ebook platform. Anywhere Amazon exists, you can get the paperback.
There we go. So Captured Within, you can get on Amazon. And I'll put a wee link to your website, whatever, in the show notes, and then they can have a little read about you. Awesome. Well, Thank you very much for calling Numbus Boys, and have a great evening.
You too. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. It was lovely having you. Bye-bye.
Bye.